Hey, everybody, this is Kai Deering, and I want to thank you for joining us. Today is a Thursday. Oh, my goodness, March 11th, 2021. And you are viewing On the Fly with Kai. This is season 2, episode 12, where I love to bring you my network, bring my network to my tribe, and really just give you some of the best of what they do. So you get some incredible tips, tricks, hacks for the entrepreneur, and more. And so I love it. And today I'm so excited because one of my favorite topics, like I'm a total nerdy identity theft person. And I'll never forget, I met Bibiana Campbell, we were saying 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. And she's really a pioneer for women in the IT space. She calls herself an IT. I'm going to mute you when we're not doing a little feedback there. Unmute you when you come back on. But she's one of the pioneers because, I mean, most women did not gravitate towards the IT world, in 1999. It was very male dominated. And I know she's had an incredible career of being a solopreneur, helping quote unquote heal computers. And she's been doing that from Southern California, moved up here in 2012 and been doing that up here as well. And we were just chatting, have kind of a one-off, and because I love talking about identity theft, she does too, and just seeing the uptick and all that good stuff. So I'd love for her to, first of all, welcome her to the show, Bibiana Campbell with I Heal Computers. So glad you're here. We'd love to learn a little bit about how you ended up. This is National Women's History Month, so this is kind of apropos about how you ended up in computers, before 2000.
That is so funny that you asked that because I didn't really think about it at the time, but I was in college for communication and graphic arts. So to the idea of going to technology was beyond belief. My little 3-year-old needed to be in preschool and I needed to find a part-time job, and I didn't like what was out there. And so a friend of mine said, hey, let's you can manage an office, let's go there. So I started managing a small firm that was a producer for PBS, and they developed a computer that was an editor for news stations. And so that is actually how I got started, because I was on the international commerce, and so I handled all sales there. And before I knew it, I was plugging keycaps, I was going to Comdex, I was taking classes and looking at the future of what was possible when it comes to technologies. And so from that point, it was a matter of taking classes and learning as much as I can. I could never get enough of technology. Why? Why does it have to be that way? What do you mean there's a virus? What do you mean that a person can't have a computer in their hands for 2 to 3 weeks because it had to be built? So that's kind of the very beginning of meeting all these titans such as ASUS and Intel and IBM. And it was pretty awesome.
Well, I love that. I love seeing women that really forge out there and carve their niche in sort of that male dominated world. I know. So you have been, obviously part of your practice is not only helping people with their technology, but also protecting their technology. And you and I were just chatting. We're like, holy smokes, during this shutdown, there's been a lot of opportunistic people figuring out scams and ways to get into people's computers and hacking people and all that stuff. So you were saying you've seen a huge uptick in people having some issues on their computers. You were saying like 2 to 3 times a week or something insane.
It really was. So if we take a look a year ago and people were going, oh my gosh, I'm shut down. Oh my gosh, I can't go into the office. What kind of computers? If they didn't bring their computer home from work to plug in, they had to start worrying about their internet service. If it was big enough, could it handle bandwidth? They might have like, oh, I don't even know what Zoom is. What do I have available so that I could work from home? And so at that time, we were also noticing there was a huge uptick in Facebooks being hacked. Not only is your Facebook hacked, but they may not have hacked the actual Facebook, but got into Messenger. Why does that happen? Because people are really slow about changing their password because they're afraid they can't remember password. But now we have great password keepers that help you remember what your passwords are. But the number one thing was passwords, and they use the same password for everything. So that's the hard part. And so Yahoo is hacked, and people who use Yahoo, people who use SBC Global, Hotmail, Rocket Mail, all the freebies, they will be hacked. You have to change your passwords. And that was just the beginning of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. I've noticed that it's a lot lately. And it's because there's not only is there Facebook, and my friend got his Facebook hacked, and try to get a hold of Facebook, right? Like, good luck.
Nothing doing.
You're not going
Yeah.
to get them. And so you've seen this huge uptick in the last 12 months with identity theft. The second part of it is, how are they doing it? Like, how are they getting into Facebook? How are they, you're seeing it a lot, like with viruses and this and that. Tell the people how are they doing it, period?
It could get quite complicated, and yet at the same time, there are algorithms that allow them to crack a password. A lot of it is just guessing. Some people use 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe their street name. And so it's easy to figure out the simple passwords. The other part about this is when you've had major companies such as Equifax, the US government, Chase, Bank of America, several huge firms that have been hacked and information stolen, that means that your social security number is no longer protected. It's out there on the web. Your birth date is no longer protected. It's out there on the web. And we have third parties that buy, you hear the term dark web. It's out there and it's for sale. So the only thing you can do is protect what you have already and not think that, oh, I don't need antivirus protection or I need very little. You need to have antivirus protection. That will help. It's not an all, but you also have to have a malware protector. The top three are Norton, Trend, and Kaspersky's. Those top three are also WebRoot is also another good one, but it's really an individual process. But the passwords, there's so many different passwords that are very common. So statistically speaking, there may be a top password that a majority of people use, and they go for those passwords. Some people don't even, they think, oh, it's easier for me to remember my old address. Well, guess what? Your information's been hacked. Your old address is out there on the web, and all they have to do is look up. So anybody that wants to hack into a computer will. It's not a matter of maybe, it's a matter of when. So your job as a consumer is to be protected to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I've always said I've done a lot of work in the identity theft arena. I was telling you, like, I've trained the Civilian Police Academy. I've worked with the Electronics Crime Division out of Redwood City. And I've always said that, like, your information has probably been compromised. It just may not have been used yet. So it's kind of if, it's when. And so what are you recommending then? What are some password, keepers that you recommend? I'd love to hear some, tips for folks out there too.
1Password. Norton also has a password keeper. So if you're already on Norton 365, it actually keeps your passwords. I actually like LastPass. And here, note that I do not get paid for advertising or saying these are items that these are ones that I have seen my customers use effectively and not be confused or go, oh my God, it's just so frustrating to use a password keeper. It's important to keep your computer clean, clean out the cookies, go into the internet files and internet properties and hit the delete key on all that temporary files that you don't use anymore. But those three, LastPass, 1Password, there's several other ones out there, and I'm sure if you Google them, you'll find one that will do you good. My suggestion is that how much is your data worth? How much is your client database worth? And you really have to think of it that way. I'm HIPAA compliant, and it's like the information I have on my computer is huge. And do you really want to open it up? So if you have a VPN, Express VPN, Norton VPN, for very little money, you can protect your computer from being seen on the web. So it protects your IP address, and it makes it easy for you to be able to browse where you want to without having to be worried about being seen or being tracked. So, and that is important. And it's not a scare tactic like I should be scared. I don't want anybody to see me, that type of thing. It's about protecting what you already have, and your data is the most important thing you have. It half of your information's out there already, but you do not want to be one of those people that get hacked with financial information, your data, your pictures, any of that, because all of that can be used against you. And then what happens if you have a trust? And then your information on the trust is on your computer. Then we're looking at what, $100,000, $200,000 to really get your data retrieval back, and to clean up your credit report and to clean up all the financial mess that is created from something that, if you had taken the time to take care of your computer, have an antivirus software, have a VPN, and have a professional technician take a look at your computer to see how safe it is. And that includes your modem. What kind of passwords do you have on your modem? These things are really important. So
Yes.
that's all part of it.
And I think, don't you think people like, oh, I'm at Starbucks, let me just jack into theirs. I'm like, I bring everywhere my own little jetpack
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to go on somebody's free Wi-Fi. So I want you to talk about that a little bit. And then I know you're talking about, DuckDuckGo on browser. So
Yeah.
explain, well, what are some ways that to kind of help protect themselves a little bit more?
Well, Chrome actually has incognito, which is pretty cool, and that helps. But there's tracking cookies as well, and large companies, tech companies, get paid by where are you clicking, how what website are you visiting, how long are you on that website, where you go. And so a VPN would handle the issue of being at a public space, because then here again, your IP is covered and you're protected. It's always safe to use your own hotspot. So if you have an iPhone, you can always hotspot your laptop to your iPhone, and then that works great. Um, so a backup battery is always nice to have on top of that, so that you are not plugging in anywhere else, and that's really important to know. Um, the other part about it is DuckDuckGo is a search browser that does not um, track your information. They all do to some point, but you're safer with something like DuckDuckGo um, than just using Google. Unless you're on Google for a specific reason, it's all good. But then again, it all depends on how secure you want to be. And as a small business person, what I've seen the most is I was getting very concerned because, number one, it's about doing the best job I can for my customers. And when my customers are hurt, I have to find a way to solve that. And the only way I can do that is by educating as many people as I can. If you are considering working on a computer, on a laptop, really take the time to know more about your laptop. Make sure your antivirus protection is valid and that it's been updated. And if it expired, don't wait 4 months to update it. Be sure that it is. A lot of the antivirus software companies are getting back on the bandwagon about making sure that malware protection is there, that there's a VPN attached to it. A free service such as AVS VPN, that's okay in a pinch, but you really want to have a good product when you're using it. And then, depending upon the type of your computers, because computers are like people in that there's each one is different. No matter if the configuration on a laptop is the same, they're all different because they are all loaded with different software and they use different things. So your computer might not respond as fast, but here again, talk to your IT tech and figure out what works best for you.
I couldn't agree with you more. And for our viewers today that are watching us live, you're welcome to put questions into the chat. We can see them and bring them up there if you have questions. So so liability, I have two questions. It's twofold. Number one is, what kind of havoc can they wreak if they get into your client base? And what happens? I've heard of them, well, not heard of them. I know for a fact they'll hold your information hostage and ask you to ransom and pay it back. I've seen everything from that to obviously wreaking havoc on your finances. But there's red flag rules that can stick it to the business owner as well. If you're not up to snuff and your information, I mean, you can be sued. It's all kinds of things. So what can they do to your client base as far as a business owner? And then what is your liability if you're not protected? I mean, with software.
Well, I'm not an attorney, so I can't tell you about the exact liability of it. But what I can tell you is that if you hold information on your client, their address, maybe you've been using their credit card and you have credit card information, there's a lot of online cloud services and they have two-step verification. And maybe you use QuickBooks online on cloud, but it's not as good. And I have known where my clients are using QuickBooks and then their client goes, "Oh, my credit card." And it's because the website itself was not as secure. Their payment website was not as secure as it needed to be. So credit card information is taken, which is like the number one reason why they attach ways on the website to do that. But the liability comes in whatever information you have on your client, whether you're a life coach, whether you have a retail online business. These are all things that you need to take a look at. And it's the number one overlooked security. Cybersecurity is like the number one overlooked area that small businesses fail to grasp, that it's going to be on them. And the liability, they can sue you
Yeah.
for however much damages that your customer receives because your information was hacked and their information therefore becomes hacked as well.
So, and then to multiply that. So let's say I'm just a solopreneur coach and I have, 6 or 7 clients on auto pay for monthly coaching and I lose 20 of those. You're talking about lawsuits up to 20 people. I mean, it's not just the one person. So, this is some serious stuff. So a couple things. Lulu actually said, I'll show you what she just said. I know you handle mostly business, but do you do older folks too? Because like the elderly fall for the phishing scams a lot. So it's not even just so much their spyware.
Right.
They're falling for that kind of things. What kind of tips and tricks do you have for the sandwich generation that's helping to take care of their parents and they're like, oh my gosh, get off the internet? They're making all kinds of mistakes.
So just as you ask your elderly, "Hey, Dad, how's it going? How are you feeling?" You have to pretty much on a consistent basis, because their memory is not as good, remind them that don't if somebody calls you and asks you for information. A client of mine had recently called and said, "Oh, your Apple has been hacked. Your iCloud services do not use your." And so luckily she had that on voicemail. But I have been prepping her saying, "Look, if you have a concern about a strange call, but they said they called from Apple." Well, there is a way that these people actually use phone numbers. They may say HP, they may say Apple Inc., and it's kind of a ghost phone on top that makes them think that when they look at their receiver and go, "Oh, it's Dad calling," it's not. So they have to be protected. So the best thing you can do is become informed yourself. Make sure that you are asking your parents. Please don't make any decisions about anything that's over the phone. If you have any questions, Mom, call me up. I have had clients that their parents lost 10,000 because they thought their grandson needed that money because they got the call from Mexico, but they had to hurry up and go and do a paycheck over the phone, Western Union, in cash, that money was gone. There
Yep.
was nothing they could do. So the phone numbers are taken. So here again, the elderly are the most vulnerable at this. And it's really important for all of us to check in with our people and just double check and kind of give them a, your elderly best. So it's like, just remember, if you even have a question, just call me. I'm happy to answer any of those questions, Dad. And, and work together as a team. We're going to solve this. So,
Yeah, and I hate to be a shameless self-promoter here, but, I did teach, like, my mother and other people that, because sometimes there's a pride issue there. They don't wanna call their kids and say, "I've made a mistake." They don't wanna call their kids and ask if, "Is this sound right?" So, I really armed my mother and said, "Listen, if any of this happens to you, we have a subscription-based $25 access to attorney." I'm like, "Then call your attorney and ask if that's legit, because you can." So
right.
sometimes there's like, they don't want to tell you that they made a mistake. They don't want to tell you because they're embarrassed. So that was a little bit shameless. And I know we're not supposed to talk about our opportunities in businesses, but there you go. So I think that's a really important thing. Why do you think, we talked about this too? So you and I are on the front lines. We sell identity theft solutions. You're doing IT. So you're seeing it like a huge uptick. You're on the front lines. I'm on the front lines hearing it all the time. Why don't people just
Recommendation.
take this more seriously and buy, like our identity theft thing, help get you out there to make sure everything's secure? I don't get it. It's mind boggling to me. Why do you think that is?
Well, number one, they don't understand the danger that they have. And the best way I can convey it to my clients, it's like you have a key and you have your front door. You lock your front door when you're not home, or even when you are home, you lock your door and you have a key. What identity protection does is gives you a key plus. And so, what I have to say is, I don't feel that you're talking is a shameless plug, because it's a product that has been involved since 2003, was number one, and look where it is now, Forbes. Why am I saying this? Is it's not the only one out there. Norton sells an ID protection. AAA feels that it's more important, and they also have a semblance of ID protection as well. There's all kinds of different products out there, but what I do is I bring the very best and the quality of it. Why? Because if I don't offer or suggest the best or the quality of it, I wouldn't have any customers. So ID Shield, I love ID Shield because they've been on the forefront fighting for consumer advocacy, consumers that are it's like elderly citizens. They're ashamed. They don't want people to know. Maybe they have been so busy with their life that they failed to look at the little icon on the lower right hand corner that says antivirus protection, but they didn't notice that it had been grayed out or that it needs updating, or I'll get to it. And so it's a procrastination in some cases where, oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to touch it. So what I've trained my clients to do is to literally call me up. If you have a question, call me up or text me or email me, and I will help you with that. So you just have to get into the routine of checking your antivirus, what's been caught, what was the report, so you can see for yourself. And then you have to have your product be sure that it's covered on the browser, that the extensions are made for the browsers are activated, because it will stop you from going to a hijacked site. The main concern is that people are so busy with work, with their life, and sometimes they're really tired and they don't see that they need help with the antivirus software. Or maybe it's not working properly. It might not be the right product for them. Or their computer has done an update and has shut down the antivirus software and then not brought it back up. So there's all kinds of reasons. We just need to go back, educate more people at the importance of keeping their data, what they have left that hasn't been taken up, to be more secure about their computers, their passwords. And yes, Macs do get viruses. Apple products do have problems. Uh, and it's important to protect yourself. With Android phones, the same thing. You want antivirus protection on there, as well as your laptops and computers. We're not like trying to scare people. We're trying to make sure that they are educated in the field of taking care of their security, because they're the only ones that can. And it starts with changing your passwords at least once a quarter.
And I got to tell you, so I say I do identity theft seminars. Now, I don't handle the IT part of it because that's not my forte. And then when I get to that slide, I'm like, you just need to go talk to someone like Bibiana, because that's not my forte. My forte is helping people, because you can't prevent it, right? But my forte
Oh,
is, helping educate people to mitigate their risk, and then educating them the products that are out there. But I think, and I start my slideshow with warning, this information can be very disturbing, because I think it's more important to be over-informed than under-informed, because trust me, I've been doing my work for 19 years. You've been doing yours for, that
yeah,
longer. And, when you're seeing the aftermath, I'm like, dang it, I just wish you would have called me before, because we could have done something.
exactly.
So this is what you
Exactly.
and I have just like, we've got to, how do we educate more people? How do we,
Right.
get the word out? And this is what started this. So, you may see more from Bibiana and us kind of working on this. I know I have a plan to do my identity theft seminar just on Facebook coming up here soon, just so people are educated, because it is really, 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 really on the rise. Sort of in closing, I know that, obviously you can do remote work, and I love the fact that you are just very client centered. So you are the white glove for your clients. You're always
Yeah.
going out to them if they need you, and you've been really, really, really great. Okay, great. So Lori, thanks, Lori. Lori just said, great material. Awesome. We'll let you know when we do identity theft seminar.
Oh,
I know, don't
yeah.
you love her? She's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. So one of the major things that I didn't say is the easiest thing is changing the password and taking care of your antivirus software. But is it really worth? And did you know that an extreme virus you will have, a hack that will actually cause your hard drive damage? It will shut down your whole hard drive.
Wow.
So the loss of all your information, can you be without your computer for 24 hours, 48 hours? And if that happens, can you bring your stuff back? So the other tip was back it up, back it up. And so many people don't do the backup, but it's super important to do that. I do offer consultations where I'll come in and we'll take a look, make an assessment as far as what your needs are. If you need help buying them, we do that too. But most importantly, it's educating our clients so that they can do the best job for their clients, for their employees. And the same thing with, I love working with elderly. It's actually part of my community service that I do. And so it's always, if we can just put one positive foot forward and help stem this tide of uh, data abuse, that would be awesome. And that's the reason why you and I started talking, because it is amazing and it's heartbreaking to see our clients lose so much.
I agree. And I wish these thieves would use their superhero power of being so good with technology for good. They could probably solve a lot of the world's problems instead of using their superhero power for evil. So how do people engage with you if they're like, oh, I've got this older parent, I want to make sure everything there is secure? How do they engage with you?
Um, Basically, you can call me on my work phone, which is 408-693-8411,
Hold on,
or you
Bibiana,
can
hold on,
Facebook me,
Bibiana. 408, go ahead.
693-8411. And or you can email me, or you'll find me on Facebook and you can message me. And my information is on Facebook. So I Heal Computer has its own page.
Agreed. And I just want to say thank you so much, because I'm sure our work together is not done, because that's not my forte on that part. I talk about, who's doing it, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and some practical prevention tips while you're out in the real world.
Exactly.
that I don't talk about, like, and then I have the screen that says avoid phishing scams, make sure you got your antivirus and your
That's
firewall
right.
all up to date,
That's
and then
right.
I'm like, that's it. That's all I say. So I
Right.
think you'll probably hear more from us, but I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners here today. Please do reach out to Bibiana Campbell. She can do a virtual assessment, see where you're at, make some recommendations. She really does care about her clients. And then if you need to reach out to me, obviously this is my business page. You want questions about our ID Shield, I'd be happy to help you as well. I feel like with the two of us, it would be a power punch, kind of protecting your computer and your whole wall of protection. So with that, I just want to thank Bibiana again, and everybody. I will see you next Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, with another great guest. With that, take care, take charge. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thanks
day.
for having me. Bye bye.